everyone. How's it going?
Hello.
Hey. So quick introduction. So I am Suzie Yacavino. I'll be your host today. And I really appreciate everyone joining us for today's LinkedIn Live session, the Road to CWS. We're excited to have you join us as we get ready for CWS 2025. Today's discussion is meant to give you a sneak peek into what's top of mind for leaders heading into the summit next week. Everything from how CWS ties into their day-to-day work, to the trends and opportunities shaping our industry, to the conversations that matter the most. So let's dive in with some quick introductions so you guys can get to know who's joining us today. Jeremy, if you want to start with an introduction, that'd be great.
Yes, my name is Jeremy Agler. I'm a Director of Enterprise Programs Procurement for Raymond James. Been with them for about 8 years, so excited to be a part of this conversation today.
Amazing. We're excited to have you. How about you, Mark? A little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Good morning, Mark Kozlowski with Magnit. I've been with the company for going on year number 21, and glad to be with you this morning.
And Ash?
I'm CEO of Hiretalent. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get right into it. So I know, Jeremy, you mentioned this is your first CWS conference, not your first conference, but just CWS. So tell me a little bit about like how you've mapped out your agenda for next week. So what are some things that you're really excited about getting out of the conference?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing is connecting with the people that I've met in the past. Having the opportunity to be at many conferences before this one, I've gotten to know many of the suppliers that are going to be there and the people that I work with. So I'm excited about hanging out with them, getting to know them. But I put my agenda around understanding some of the trends. Part of my role today is eventually I will be leading the contingent workforce program for my firm. So my goal is to get the knowledge to understand the background of what contingent working is, how they partner together. So that's where a lot of my time is going to be spent, is understanding that, understanding the various trends that are going on in the space.
Absolutely. So I guess in that regards, have you had a chance to sort of like look at the agenda? Are there some panel discussions that you're really excited about sitting in on?
Yeah, so there's a couple of discussions that I look forward to sitting on. One is the focus on AI and how AI is going to help drive some of this conversation. It's AI is that big buzzword, right? It's those two letters that are taking over everything we do. So understanding how AI is being used in this environment today is one of the big things that I'm focusing on, trying to drive that conversation, because that's what we're talking about in my environment today.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some things that you guys are like, how do you plan on sort of trying to utilize that internally for the team?
So I think from an internal standpoint, the very most important thing for us is the education element. The AI world is new to my firm. So a lot of the things that we're just educating how we can use it. So my goal will be is to take that knowledge back, help educate those around me that will be implementing a lot of the stuff that we're going to do, and just try to drive that conversation where it seems fit.
Amazing. Mark, how about you? I'm hearing sort of like, are you, I guess, more excited about that conversation as well? As AI also a big conversation for you and some of your clients this year?
Yeah, I don't think we've had a quarterly business review over the past 18 months where that hasn't been a pretty significant topic of interest for everybody. And it goes in a variety of ways. Not only what are we doing to make the user experience better for customers, but how are we using AI internally to become a better MSP, right? Be more efficient, streamline our own processes, reduce cycle times. So those are all the things that we're thinking about. And for some of our clients, especially in financial services, they certainly have, the conversation usually goes an extra layer deeper around security and making sure that whatever application of AI we have is going to be satisfactory to the client. And they want to make sure that we've thought it out well, and whatever applications we're thinking about not only make sense and are good for the business, but are also secure and safe. So that's a lot of what the discussion's been around.
Yeah, absolutely. past right? AI is definitely a hot topic of conversation. Are there any other trends that you are hearing outside of AI that are going to be hot topics this year?
Use that one too, Suzie.
Is that
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're okay.
I mean, some other trends that I think people are really looking at is SOW kind of offshoring, optimizing for that. And then I think a big thing on AI, which we personally use with our company, is fraud detection to make sure that we're not getting fake candidates, North Korean candidates are coming in and stuff like that. So it's really important to utilize it where it can really help fish out some of the fraud that's going on.
Amazing. Yeah. Super excited for those conversations. There's definitely a lot of great panel discussions happening this year. So excited to see what we're all going to get out of it, into, what it looks like for us from a business standpoint leading up to the rest of the year. So I guess a little shift on conversation. Let me know a little bit about your thoughts, Jeremy, on outreach. So how has it been for you this year with the bombardment of outreach? How have you been handling that?
Yeah, so I often have taken, since I've been in this role, I've always taken an approach where I'm going to respond to every email, at least with a, hey, yes, I'm interested, or no, I'm not. And, it's always great leading up to a conference because those emails start getting in. And one of the things I'll say, what separates is apart from most is providing me an email that's tailored to me and not the standard generic email that you send to everyone. Those are the ones that I'm more likely to respond to because you've taken the time to do research. Even if it's you've looked at my LinkedIn profile and you mentioned something off my LinkedIn profile, that's a great way because to me it means you took the time to get to know who I am, or at least a little bit about me, than sending that blanket email across the board. And then some of the other elements, to me, one of the most important action items is relationships, right? Over time, it happens. The first time you meet somebody, it's not a love at first sight. It could be. But most of the time, it takes the time to build that relationship, get to know each other, and to determine if it's a good fit. And that's where I try to play the biggest role is if I work with a supplier or have a conversation with somebody and I don't think they'll be a great fit for Raymond James, I make that comment. I'll tell them, I don't think you'd be a good fit. We can still be friends and we can still have a conversation, but from a sales perspective, I don't think it's going to work. And so those are the little things. Think about the relationship, get to know me a little bit before you start throwing your sales pitch. I think when we were prepping for this call, I made a comment about some people that I met at a Week8 conference a few years ago, who I talked to them every day, hung out with them. And at the end of the week, I didn't know what they did. I had to ask them what they did. And that was the true sign that was going to be a great relationship and a great friendship.
Absolutely. That's great points because I would say this is probably my 10th CWS and there's been a lot of learning curves, but I definitely think the one that's the most effective is taking the time to understand who you are reaching out to, because the generic it's not going to cut it anymore, right? Like we got to understand who we're talking to, why we want to even do business with them or even want to build a relationship with them. Because, you're not necessarily fit for everybody's business. So yeah, I mentioned this a little bit yesterday, but being genuine and building that trust is super important, I think, in any relationship, right? Whether it's your spouse, your kids, to get to know someone is to really, that's how you build the trust, right? Is to really get to know them on a personal level. So yeah, to your point, absolutely. I think the relationship is very important to nurture prior to ever even really, talking about business. So, great points. And Mark, how about you? Like, again, you've been in this industry for so long and have gone to a lot of conferences. This year, has it been any different with outreach and how you've been able to connect with buyers? I mean, I know it's been the last few years, especially, a lot of people have been very vocal about how aggressive suppliers have been. And it does turn off a lot of buyers prior to these conferences, totally understandable. So you kind of figure out a new way to sort of approach it. So any new, I guess, insight on how you've done it this year?
Well, I think I'd start off just by saying, 2024 was kind of a rough year for most of the suppliers in the industry, right? And everybody walked in or was hoping 2025 was going to be a lot better, right? We were all optimistic about it, and that, I guess, frankly, just hasn't transpired all the way for everybody. So, having a couple rough years in a row, from the vendor side, puts a lot of pressure on the account execs and the salespeople, right? The SIA conference is a huge investment. I'd ask the buyers to be understanding of that. And, obviously the people who've been in the industry a long time probably are a little bit more aware of how to approach buyers and the way they like to be approached and doing it in a respectful manner. And other times there are maybe some folks who are newer, maybe not to the industry, but just sales in general. And maybe that approach is a tad aggressive, or maybe the emails are a little too generic as opposed to thought out the way we'd like. But I would just ask the buyers to be understanding, right? We're all hoping for success out of this event. We're all hoping for new relationships. We're all hoping to cement the relationships we do have. And I think as long as everybody kind of goes in with an open mind and just doesn't shut themselves or close themselves to new conversations, it can be a great experience for everybody. The quantity is overwhelming. We understand your inboxes are flooded, but again, I hope everybody just keeps in the back of the mind that we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. We're all trying to make this event worthwhile and making sure it stays a good event. So that's my 2 cents on that.
No, Mark, I will also add, my previous background was sales too. So I understand that sales side of the aspect and how important it is and push. And I think that's why I try to have those conversations, right? Me in my previous life was in business banking and consumer banking. So, it was all about building relationships and driving those relationships to get their business, right? So that's what takes time. So I understand, Mark, both sides. We have those sales goals, we got to work towards them. So I'm here to listen, and if there's a right opportunity for us to partner, that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think to your point, it's probably why you do reach out or you respond to every email, right? Because you're like, I know, I've been there. I understand your processes and what you're trying to do. So I'll respond. It might not be exactly what you want to hear, but
Right.
The quick response is always, honestly, in my opinion, I think that's really kind of how you stop the bombardment of outreach, right? If you respond, then they understand where you are. And then, as a salesperson, then you just move on. You're not going to follow up and did you get my email and just checking in on this. And, I think sometimes being in that position, you understand where the salespeople are coming from. So
Exactly.
Yeah. Another quick question. So I guess in regards to like follow up after the conference, because then there's going to be the, hey, we missed each other, or we, yes, let's definitely connect. And then maybe some things fall through. How do you recommend suppliers follow up with you after the conference? What's the best sort of, route in your opinion?
Yeah, I will repeat the same thing and change up a little bit. Get to know a little bit. If there was an opportunity, because one of the things I often say happens is I have an intention to meet somebody, but then my schedule gets shifted or their schedule gets shifted and we miss each other. That's okay. That is going to happen. It happens all the time. Just when you follow up, just remind me of what our conversation was going to be about. And then, let me take it from there, right? That's often the message that I say, let me take it from there. Odds are I will get you on my calendar for us to at least have a 10-minute, 15-minute conversation. Then I'll say from there, be respectful of that 10 to 15 minutes, right? I don't want you to come in and do a full-blown presentation. It's a high-level overview of us to get to know each other, to see if it's a good fit, because as Suzie, as you mentioned, I don't want to waste anyone's time. And if there is not a legitimate opportunity for us to partner, I'm going to tell the individual, it's me, it's not you, right? It's where we're at in our process. It's not you. Continue. And if you build those strong relationships with me, the other element that I try to do too, if there's not something for us, I can refer you to somebody else that I'm working with that might be in the need for that. And that's why the relationship aspect to me is the most important, because I would feel comfortable. I'll be like, hey, Suzie, I don't have anything for you, but my colleague in another firm is looking for your services. I'm going to make that connection for you and see if it works from there. So that's what I'll say, is just make that follow up, get to know who I am. Let's figure out how we can get that first level conversation and then build that relationship over time.
I love that. Yeah, I love the relationship piece of this whole business. So, and it's definitely important. I think that's definitely a good point. I guess to wrap things up, any final thoughts, pieces of advice, or predictions about the future of work? What would that be for you guys?
I mean, for me, it's about understanding where we're going next. The world is changing, and it's changing very fast. But I still will go back to everything that we've talked about. No matter which direction that we go in, where AI takes us, whatever the new technology is, I think steadfast, the relationship aspect will be the most important and critical thing that we can do. Amazing.
Yeah, I think the whole AI, we kind of touched on this yesterday, Ash did, and Mark, and the conversation of AI, is it replacing people or is it just helping the business units? So I think it's definitely going to be something that is very useful, not necessarily to replace people, but to help our businesses grow. So super excited to hear from everybody at CWS next week and see what the future holds for staffing. Mark, any last thoughts on your end?
You know what, Suzie, I would say maybe this sounds a little bit. I hope it comes out the right way, but I think when I go to a conference and meet with somebody, I always kind of take it personal that there's got to be something I can do for this person, whether that be introduce them to a new connection. If I don't know an answer to a specific question they have. From being in the space for 20 years, I should know people who are to direct them to, right? Help them build their own professional networks, try to get them in touch with credible subject matter experts who I trust, just so that they kind of can view you as a resource, right? And so somebody that I think it's a very good way to kind of build up trust. And like I said, I think a lot of the buyers, they would feel good if they know that they can go to the exhibitor booths knowing that, hey, this person can be a benefit to me. They can offer me something, whether it's maybe not today, but somewhere in the future. And I think that's how I've done it the past 20 years. And I don't know, it's worked for me. So that's just something else I'd add and share.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a big, small world, right? And networking is part of it, and connections is part of it. So we're all here to help each other in some sort of capacity. So absolutely.
I think what Jeremy said really resonated with me today. It's, you don't go to a conference trying to meet 600 people. You try to make 5 or 6 friends. And I think that's the key to the conference.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for next week. Excited to meet you in person, Jeremy. Mark, excited to see you again for going on almost 11 years strong. Ash, I hope you feel better. But I'm really excited for next week, and I really appreciate y'all's time today. Thanks for all the insight. Jeremy and Mark, safe travels there. Ash, you too. And I'm looking forward to a really great conference this year.
All right. We'll see everyone next week.
All right. See you guys.